I am Vandana. So I am taking this class on hormone and cancer on behalf of Dr. Sinha because of my expertise in the area of cancer. So, so this is a brief overview of my class. I am going to talk about hormones and hormone-dependent cancer, risk factors causing cancer, and the available therapeutic options. Actually, hormones are chemical messenger. They are peptide or steroids secreted from the endocrine cells into the bloodstream. This secreted hormone acts on the target cell, which affects the growth and development of individual. Hormones actually they work slowly over time and affect many different processes like metabolism, how your body gets energy from food you eat, sexual function, reproduction, and mood. Inside the body, there are many hormone secreting glands like a pituitary gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, and in females, estrogen and progesterone are the most important hormone that is secreted from the ovary and in minimal quantities from adrenal gland. And these are the steroid hormones that are responsible for the various female characteristics in the body. In male, testosterone is secreted from the testes, and these both male and female hormones have unique role in body. Like estrogen is secreted from ovaries and in minimal quantities from adrenal gland. So this estrogen binds with a specific receptor on estrogen receptors and acts on the target cell to affect the different functions like it affects the brain, maintain body temperature, memory function, and libido adjustment. It also affects the function of heart, breast, liver, bone, ovaries, uterus, and skin. So alongside with estrogen, it is also important to know the function of a progesterone because the balance between these two hormones are important to maintain the health. Here, estrogen builds up the uterine lining and progesterone maintains the secretory lining of uterus. Estrogen increases body fat and progesterone helps in the burning of fat for energy production. Estrogen acts as a estrogen actually can cause depression, headache, migraine. It interferes with thyroid hormone, increases blood clotting, decreases libido, impairs blood sugar control. In contrast, progesterone act as a antidepressant, facilitates thyroid hormone action, normalizes blood clotting, restores libido, and regulates blood sugar level. Importantly, estrogen increases the risk of endometrial and breast cancer. However, progesterone protects from the endometrial and breast cancer. Like female hormones, testosterone has also important role, like it also regulates the function of brain, muscle growth, maintains the bone mineral density. It also controls the function of sex organs, bone marrow, and skin. So the balance of testosterone and estrogen hormone levels in the body is very important to maintain the healthy life. As you can see here, estrogen level is high at the age of 20 in female, and it attains its peak level at the age of 35, and after that decline in hormone levels were noticed because in female from like between the age of 40 to 60 menopause occurs. So it's like after menopause there is severe decline in estrogen level. In case of a male, testosterone level is maximum at the age of 20, but it level decreases with increased age. So this is the statistical representation of average hormone production in male and female in terms with age. So like here you can see the estrogen level is maximum at the age of 35 in female, and in testosterone level is peaks at the age of 20. So, if the level of these male and female hormones are too high or too low, some undesirable symptoms will happen. So, these hormones can also regulate the growth of cancer. Like these, they can initiate the carcinogenesis or promote the tumor growth. So here this estrogen or other steroid hormone drives the cell proliferation and facilitates the fixation of genetic errors. Actually the germline mutation in tumor suppressor gene accelerates the transformation of a normal cells into the malignant phenotype. So there are several cancers which depends on hormone, like a breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, and endometrial cancer. So actually this breast cancer and ovarian and endometrial, these are the female cancer, and prostate cancer occurs in male, and testosterone affects the carcinogenesis of prostate. So, like among these, breast cancer is the most common malignancy in female and second leading cause of a cancer-related death. Here, this is the cross section of milk duct of breast, and the inner lining is the epithelial cell, which is surrounded by elongated myoepithelial cells, as shown in red color. So both these epithelial and myoepithelial cells are separated from the surrounding connective tissue by the basal lamina. So the genetic and epigenetic changes are acquired, and these genetic and epigenetic changes turns the normal cell into tumor cells. These changes drive alteration in the cell's behavior. Here this carcinoma in situ, it can quiescent for many years and eventually break through the basal lamina, and it eventually break through the basal lamina into the surrounding tissue, termed as a invasive cancer, and then it can spread to the distant organ called as the metastatic carcinoma. So at this stage, like carcinoma in situ, if it's detected early, 70 to 80% of this patient is curable. But the advanced metastatic carcinoma is considered incurable with currently available therapies. Hormone affects the carcinogenesis at all stages, and endocrine disruptors also affects the hormone at all stages, which may regulates the carcinogenesis of breast. So, so this breast cancer has been classified into different categories based on the histological examinations and the molecular subtypes. In histological subtypes, breast tumors are largely divided into a pre-invasive cancer and invasive cancer. Pre-invasive cancers are referred as a ductal carcinoma in situ and lobular carcinoma in situ. These ductal carcinoma and lobular carcinoma in situ are localized cancer. If they left untreated, it will invade the surrounding tissue and termed as a invasive ductal and lobular carcinoma. So molecular subtype of classification of breast cancer is more important than histology for the treatment of planning and development of a newer targeted therapies. It is actually this type of a classification is achieved by the molecular and genetic information from the cancerous breast tissue, and molecular subtypes of breast cancer have been defined as a luminal A, luminal B, and HER2 and triple negative breast cancer. This subtype of breast cancer are estrogen receptor positive and progesterone receptor positive. It has a low level of Ki67, means low grade of a proliferation and good prognosis. Luminal B subtypes, they are estrogen receptor positive, but it can be either HER2 positive or HER2 negative. It has higher level of Ki67 rather than this luminal A subtypes, and it has poorer prognosis than luminal A subtypes. HER2 positive breast cancers, they are hormone receptor negative, and it can be treated with HER2 targeted therapies like trastuzumab. Triple negative breast cancers, they are estrogen, progesterone, and HER2 negative. They are the more aggressive form of cancer. They have higher grade of a proliferation and have a poorer prognosis, and they don't respond to hormonal therapies. So, so for like here, 40% of breast cancer are hormone receptor positive, and they have altered level of estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor, and receptor tyrosine kinases. The binding of estrogen on estrogen receptors activates the genomic and non-genomic pathway for the proliferation of breast cancer. In genomic pathway, binding of estrogen on estrogen receptors activates its translocation from cytoplasm to the nucleus and recruits the other co-activators, and thereby activates the transcription of gene for proliferation. So, so estrogen can also act by non-genomic pathway. So here this estrogen-bound estrogen receptor activates the MAP kinase pathway, and it can also activates genomic pathway by autofeed mechanism. So for like here, the hormone level for, as we know, as we have already seen it, the estrogen levels are different in pre-menopausal and post-menopausal women. In pre-menopausal women, the main site of synthesis of estrogen is the ovary. But in post-menopausal women, adipose tissue is the major source of estrogen. In case of a post-menopausal woman, adipose tissue has increased aromatase activity, which converts the androgen and testosterone into the estrogen. So these adipose tissue also secretes the adipokines like leptin and cytokines like TNF alpha, which increases the activity of aromatase and so it increases its conversion of androgen to estrogen and affects the proliferation of hormone dependent cancer cells. So this obesity is a metabolic syndrome. So here adipocytes also secretes the insulin and IGF-1, which act as a mitogen for the growth of hormone dependent cancer cells. So, so the treatmental strategies for both pre-menopausal and post-menopausal women are different. And like breast cancer patient can be treated by several ways. So here surgery is the first line of a treatment for most of the cancer patient. Surgery involves the lumpectomy and mastectomy. In lumpectomy, there is the removal of a surgical removal of breast tissue, and in mastectomy there is the entire removal of breast. So mastectomy further subdivided into a simple mastectomy and radial mastectomy. Simple mastectomy is the removal of an entire breast but no other structure. And in radial mastectomy actually is the removal of breast and the underlying chest wall muscles as well as the underarm contents. The another therapy is the radiation therapy. In this therapy, we use high X-rays, which can be done before or after surgery. In chemotherapy, we use the drugs which work by stopping the cancer cells' ability to grow and divide. So chemotherapy actually involves several drugs. So these are like the common drugs for breast cancer, like capecitabine, carboplatin, cisplatin, cyclophosphamide, docetaxel, and doxorubicin, and like so on. So so in chemotherapy, actually neoadjuvant chemotherapy is given before surgery. So it's given before surgery because to shrink a large tumor and make surgery easier. Adjuvant chemotherapy may also be given after surgery to reduce the risk of recurrence. There are, so in targeted therapy there is hormonal therapy, HER2 therapy, and osteoclast therapy. Hormonal therapy is the first approved targeted therapy. HER2 targeted therapy is commonly used for the HER2 positive breast cancer, and osteoclast targeted therapy is commonly used for the bone metastatic breast cancers. In osteoclast targeted therapy, mainly bisphosphonate and Rankel ligand inhibitors are used. So hormonal therapy is the most common therapy for both pre and post-menopausal women. Tamoxifen is commonly used to treat both pre and post-menopausal women of a breast cancer. But the major problem is the development of a endometrial cancer if it's given for a long period. Aromatase inhibitors are used for the postmenopausal, and these inhibitors includes like anastrozole, letrozole, and exemestane like aromacin. So the therapeutic approaches for both pre and postmenopausals are different. Like postmenopausal women, they have the different source of estrogen in the body. Like in premenopausal, estrogen is secreted from the ovary, and in postmenopausal, adipose tissue is the major source of a estrogen hormone. So for this postmenopausal women, the changes in the diet and physical activities are encouraged to treat breast cancer. And and so here I am going to talk about the risk factors of breast cancer. So they are like late menopause after age of 55, having no children or having a first child after age 30, women with previous history of a breast cancer, nulliparity, using a birth control pills, obesity, early menarche, drinking alcohol, and lack of exercise. Now, here this one is the like the lifestyle modification for patients with breast cancer are needed to improve and optimize overall health. Simply make exercising a part of your life. Breastfeed if you can. Limit alcohol and don't smoke. Maintain a healthy weight. All these lifestyle can reduce the cancer risk. So now I am going to talk about a prostate cancer, which is a male cancer. It is a one of the most common type of a cancer that occurs in the prostate gland. Usually, this prostate cancer grows slowly and initially confined to the prostate gland, where it may not cause serious harm. However, some type of breast cancers grow slowly and may need minimal or even no treatment. Other types are aggressive and can spread quickly. if it's detected early when it's still confined to the prostate gland, has a better chance of successful treatment. Actually, the male hormone testosterone can feed the growth of prostate cancer. So, in prostate, testosterone is secreted from the testis. It's taken up inside the cells. This testosterone acts directly on the androgen receptors, or it may be irreversibly converted into dihydrotestosterone by 5-alpha reductase. When androgen receptors are unoccupied by the ligand, it is associated with the heat shock protein, which prevents its degradation. When ligand bind with the androgen receptor, it undergoes the conformational changes, dissociates from the heat shock protein, and this ligand binding induces the dimerization and nuclear translocation, which activates the further transcription of a AR targeted gene. These androgen receptors also crosstalk with the receptor tyrosine kinases and activates the non-genomic signaling for the proliferation and survival of a prostate cancer. There are some risk factors for a prostate cancer, such as the ethnic group, androgen receptor, obesity, and family history. The treatmental strategies are surgery, chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, and radiation therapy. Now I am coming to again to female cancer, which is a endometrial cancer and ovarian cancer. These endometrial and ovarian cancer depends on estrogen or progesterone for the growth and survival. Endometrial is a type of cancer that begins in the endometrial lining of the uterus, whereas ovarian cancer occurs in ovary. The symptoms and risk factor and treatmental strategies are almost common for these cancers. The symptoms are like vaginal bleeding after menopause, bleeding between periods, or pelvic pain. And the risk factors are like early menarche, late menopause, nulliparity, obesity, chronic toxoplasmosis, previous pelvic irradiation, hypertension, or diabetes. So all these risk factors I already discussed for the breast cancer. So they are the common for hormone dependent female cancer, and the treatmental strategies are also same for these cancer, like surgery, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and hormonal therapy. Now I am going to talk about the hot topic of research, which is obesity and cancer. Actually, obesity is a metabolic syndrome and it increases the incidence of cancer in both male and female. It is important to know how could obesity lead to cancer. There are three possible ways here, like increased level of hormone estrogen, insulin and growth factors, and inflammatory cytokines. So, in case of obesity, adipocyte has increased activity of aromatase, which converts the androgen and testosterone into estrogen. And this adipose tissue also secretes the other hormones and growth factors like insulin and pro-inflammatory cytokines like leptin and adiponectin, which act as a mitogen on the target cell, which influences the development of tumor. So this was the like a brief introduction about a hormone and cancers. And so if anyone is working in the area of a cancer, so please keep reading.